Hey everybody, just wanted to do something a little different today. And I know it's Independence weekend. We got Independence Day coming up here, and I have to mute the watch page because I always mess this up and start speaking over myself. Got it this time. Look at that. Right on the money. Anyway, I just wanted to do a quick hangout explaining something about banking and mortgage and promissory notes, which I researched, and that's actually what brought me to the flat Earth topic as well, which many know, and I won't go over the details because it's kind of boring. Just a few things about which most of the truthers know. Between the Federal Reserve, the Act of 1913, when it's basically a private corporation, et cetera, and so forth, and going all the way back to finding out, okay, mortgage, definition of mortgage, and then you can kind of look that up. You can look it up. Besides Wikipedia, there's still a lot of old dictionaries out there that have it, very old ones. I've got one from the early 1900s, actually, which explains specifically the do's and don'ts, on mortgages and so forth. And of course, foreclosure, which so many people are, obviously in that situation, which can be very traumatic and also very stressful on anyone. And then I found myself personally in a little bit of issue, with cash flow and so forth. And this started several years ago. And I started to look into different things about mortgages and banking, and okay, what are my options? Which many people do, and they research. There's so many good researchers, especially in the flat Earth, with folks that just to levels that I never even thought were possible, with the detail that they have on certain things, and go back and research. So for something like this, I thought it was important to get out my personal story with the mortgage that I personally have. Maybe it'll help some others. I've tried to help a few with looking up some of their documents and maybe discovering what I discovered, which was quite eye-opening. And it must have been because the bank went into a tailspin right away and started with a couple of different things. There are many YouTube channels out there to check this stuff out. And I would say, first of all, I'm not a banker, not a lawyer, not anything to do with the government. I'm just an independent contractor, have been my entire adult life. And I just looked into things, and some of the things I found out were quite alarming, actually. As you look and see how easy it is, basically your signature is worth everything. Your signature is what's worth the money. I mean, that's without your signature, banks wouldn't exist. They couldn't exist. When you get served with documents, which I have in the past. Obviously I have my own company, so it could be an array of things, from somebody, doing snow removal with slip and fall, all the way down to, going through personal things with, divorce and that sort of thing, where, perhaps, again, foreclosure or banking issues that people have, and different things. And I've learned quite a bit over the journey, as far as, when a mortgage is actually taken out, the bank can actually take that particular mortgage, say it was for a mortgage for $100,000. Well, they can benefit from that by bringing that $100,000 to presenting it to the Fed, and be able to borrow up to 3 times that amount. Of course, we all like that number 3, 3 times that amount. So instead of the bank being able to not only create this money totally out of thin air, because you walk in and your signature is what makes that currency or that value appear, is your signature. And at that point, $100,000, the bank can take that and they can put it out, as we say, you put it out on the street, where you can put it out to investors, investment brokers, of course, with the mortgage default swap that went on, that blew up in 2008, and they're still trying to put a Band-Aid on, as far as I can tell right now, because you see it. Everybody drive down your local street or local town, and you can see, foreclosure, house for sale, and all in all different forms of disarray, because people have just, hey, just walk away, and that sort of thing. There are some things that you can perhaps do, which would actually um, help out the process. If you look into a mortgage, and I'm very ashamed I didn't know this. I had learned several years ago, looking into that, the mortgage itself. Pardon me. The mortgage itself is what is filed with your local county, if you will. That's the way it works here in New Jersey. Now, with each state, and again, I am not a lawyer by whatever means. I'm just saying, hey, this deserves everyone to take a look at. Please feel free to pass this around and pass the video around, or many people that we all know and bump into. Put it this way: if you go into a live chat or something and you say, "Hey, what's going on?" Well, you get a lot of highs and "How you doing?" back and forth. So there are a substantial amount of people that this can get to, which I hope it does. And what I learned about that was, okay, well, the mortgage is just a mortgage. When you sign, I don't know, 3,200 times. I'm exaggerating, of course. You sign a few documents for your loan, and bingo. Well, you didn't receive any currency for it. I mean, you just went in and signed a piece of paper, and they say, hey, by the way, you owe me X amount over the next, however many years. There's all different amounts now, 15, 20, 25, 30-year mortgages, and they're all different, all with different interest rates and balloons. And so I don't want to go into all that because that's kind of boring. What I want to go into is what I didn't realize until researching is that there is not only the mortgage, there's also what's called a promissory note. The promissory note is what your lending institution will actually hold on to. That's what is worth the money. The mortgage is a filing that says, hey, this person owes us this amount of money. And they've actually created that promissory note, which is of value to the bank, which is the one that they can capitalize on. And they can borrow up to, like I said, about 3 times the amount. It's different in every state. It's, it's different between the bank and how much they want to borrow. Maybe it's a 1-to-1. Maybe they only borrow just that amount. There's an option that they can borrow up to a certain larger amount to fund their bank, and then they put that out as far as, you start with 100 with one person. Well, now they've got 200 more where they can bring in 2 other individuals. Now what happens to that? Well, then now you've got 3. Now all of a sudden you've got $900,000. Now and it goes on and on and on and on. Of course, with the bank, very dangerously assuming, which we all know what assume means if you break it down, assuming that everybody's going to pay and there's not going to be any kind of economy blast or anything where it puts a lot of people out of work. Hence, what happened in 2008 and the whole thing fell through, especially for guys that are contractors in the contracting industry. And I want to say that abroad, whether you're union guys or privateer guys or people that work on municipalities, everybody was out of work. So getting back to this particular thing with the mortgage, and I do have the documents here, and I'm actually going to show, not the entire thing, because obviously it's my personal things. I looked into, okay, well, the mortgage has to be accompanied by the promissory note. In other words, especially on a foreclosure, they would actually have to have the genuine, which again, if anyone knows who has signed a mortgage before, that's blue pen. That is not an original. It's not a copy. It is the genuine. The genuine document that you sign would be in blue pen. Everything else is in black, as we know, printed off and so forth, and blue sticks out. That's your genuine signature that allows them to file the mortgage, hold the promissory note, and that is what is of value. That is the value of the mortgage, not what you go and look at your town hall records or county hall records or something. That's just saying that, hey, this property has something attached to it which has to be satisfied prior to switching it over to another person's name and selling the property to someone. So what I looked up is there's different things. Obviously, there's tons of information out there, and it kind of filtered back to there was a law back in 1872, I believe, where it was ruled on, I believe it was the Supreme Court, where it actually says that if the lending institution, because the mortgage is already filed with the county and township, so obviously that's going to be there. If the lending institution itself cannot produce the genuine note to go along with that mortgage, okay, the documents cannot stand independent. They have to be, both of them have to be together. And they have to be the mortgage, which is filed, and also the genuine note in blue pen. Those have to be together. If you're being foreclosed on or something, and they come in and say, well, blah, 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 blah. If they cannot produce that genuine note, the bank's got a problem. Hence, they try to bring you in, they try to reestablish some kind of a loan, they try to have you perhaps sign a modification or some kind of new documents or something, where they will try to get again that signature, that genuine signature, because perhaps they may not have kept it, or they may have just made a copy. If they make a copy of it, it's not the genuine. It does not. It doesn't apply. It is something that is totally different. Feel free to look at the subs that I have, and I'm going to read off a couple of them that I've been sent to, or I've actually started and looked into. And you can obviously put, just copy this down or whatever. I just wrote a few notes here. Carl Lentz has a YouTube channel, which is very, very, very good. Kevin Lee Legal Group, and you can find these in my subs. Just go through the subs that I have, and you'll see this. And they're out of Florida, actually. They don't do work up north where I am in New Jersey. They do down south and so forth. Very, very good information, good staff, nice, polite people to speak with. David Young, another one to definitely take a look at. Craig Lynch, who also works or has mirrored some of Carl's work on the mortgages and certain things. Obviously, Servant King, which is more of a popular site where a lot of people look at these types of things. And in looking through, you'll find that it's not all what it seems sometimes. So let me get back to my personal situation. Back a couple years ago, it's about 2.5 years ago now, maybe a little more. I was doing some research on this. That's how I came into the flat Earth community, actually, because I started with Pat, and I'm doing both at the same time. Of course, I'm still keeping track of this, what I'm fighting for here. Also, doing the flat Earth. And normally you see the goofy me joking around and having a lot of fun, playing the drums, that sort of thing. I enjoy that. It's actually quite nice, and great conversations with everybody, and joining chats and so forth. So I started looking into, and most of us do the same thing. I'm guilty of the same thing. You go to the bank, you sign the paperwork. You're as I was, you're more excited, to get the home or to have the loan approved or whatever, and you're just not perhaps thinking of exactly what I'm going to show you. So you sign the documents, and okay, you go home and hey, we got it, yeah, we got it, and life moves on. And it's kind of putting those blinders on, and you've got what you're looking for, and now everything is good. Hey, the flowers are coming up, we're good to go. So when you fall into a little bit of hard time, and you go back and you say, boy, after looking at some of these channels, and they're very good. You can rewind this a little bit, and I gave the names out there. Go check my sub list, who I'm subscribed to, and you can see it's down toward, I think, the bottom of the list, because that's where those are the first people I subscribed to and started watching many videos on this. And you fall into the hard times. You go back and you say, boy, let me pull out the documents I have, whatever documents you brought home from the bank. And you start taking a look at those documents. My particular ones are right here. I'm not going to show a bunch of information on this. I'm just going to show it's going to take a second to focus there. There we go. It's got a lot of mumbo jumbo and all these different kinds of things. And I looked. This was actually, because I keep quite an extensive file, and especially to different things like this. And actually, this is what it had. This was what was written. Take a second to focus there. There we go. It says Larry's Docs. Well, obviously that's not my writing, because if you saw mine, it's like chicken scratch. This is from one of the nice people down at the bank, one of the girls that actually prepared this. And just to show you that it's, here, let me do this actually on camera, just to show you that, hold on, I'm just going to take a second to focus here, sorry. Let's get that back. There we go. Larry's documents. And it's just a bent over, you know, it's a legal copy, so it's bent over the 8 by 10. Okay, just to show you that. Now, what I looked at is, first is on the top, you know, it's the actual mortgage is on the top here. Okay. Now, when I saw this, it was kind of curious to me, because I normally you would keep a copy when you leave the bank. You would keep a copy of the signed documents that you just signed. I mean, you wouldn't walk out without one. So in looking into this, let me see here. This is the actual, again, same group of papers here. This is the actual, what I saw when I opened this up. Okay, you can see there. You can see the signature line. I'm trying to hold it steady, sorry. And it has the word copy through it. Okay, which is totally fine. It's a copy. It doesn't happen to be signed, so it's not. This is not a legal document. This is just papers. Then I had looked into. Here we go. I had looked into the promissory note as well in the same group of documents. Take a second to focus there. Sorry. There we go. And it has the word copy once again. No signature on this one either. And I'm like, boy, that's kind of strange. Not sure what happened. You know, perhaps. And they. You can ask my ex-wife. I mean, if I have something as important to this as this, it's in the same place I've kept all my documents, like, since day one. In fact, I actually had a title that was from a trailer from 1973 that my grandfather had given my parents. I still had the genuine title sitting in there, even though the trailer is not roadworthy. So basically, what I'm saying is, I've always kept everything in the same spot. It never moves. It is always in the same spot, easy to find. So in looking at those, I was like, okay, well, that's interesting. So I called the the bank at that point, and I said, you know, I'm having a little trouble here. I'm looking for, you know, an original, because that would have been the first one. You know, the bank would obviously take the genuine, run it through their copier, and you, which would, the first print is the original. And I'll just real quickly, the Mona Lisa, the picture, painting, excuse me, the Mona Lisa as herself is the genuine. The original would be the first original copy. From there, you would get copies and copies and copies. So when I say genuine, it's the genuine article. It's the genuine you, or whomever is watching. You are the genuine. That is genuine. A picture, a photograph of you taken or painted or whatever, that's an original or a copy. You're the genuine. It doesn't get any easier than that. So going back, so I contacted the bank, and I tried for several months, by the way. You have to be very persistent. Tried for several months to contact the documentation that I'm looking for. And I got the run around. Well, obviously, I stopped paying, because I'm like, well, all right, two can play this game. And of course, it takes quite a while for this process to go. So it's not, sorry, I got a glare on there. It's not like, you know, they're going to come to the next day. It doesn't happen like that. So I waited, and I get an attorney letter, which to me is like commonplace. I mean, some people freak out. Myself, I'm like, oh, what have we today? So I read and it was a demand letter, which most of the time you get that first. You get a demand letter, and the interesting thing is I've been dealing with this bank. I just celebrated my 50th birthday, so I started with this bank in 1987. Been with this bank with different accounts as far as my personal account. I've always had one there. I've also had business accounts. I've had them at other banks as well. This is like the hub for me because it's a very localized bank to where I live. Very convenient. I pretty much know everybody over the years. And so I was a little surprised that the funny thing is the attorney that they sent me to, I happen to have dealt with before. So I called him and I said, what gives? And it was just, formality and so forth and so on. I says, all right, well, then perhaps you can help me. I've been asking for an original of the genuine article of the mortgage and my promissory note. No problem. I'll get it right over to you. All right. Okay. Well, here we go. That's what I've been waiting for. This is all mumbo. What are you going through all this process for? All you got to do is call, and this is what I'm looking for. So if you if you just joined and you want to rewind back a little bit, I showed the documents I have. They're blank. There is no signature on any of it that I had. So this is what I'm trying to get. So I get an email. It was forthwith. It was within a couple of days. Obviously I'm not the fire that needs to be put out right now, which I believe this bank has more than one fire, and I'll get into that in a little bit here. So I get an email and I'm looking through it. Of course it's 40, 50, I don't know how many pages. It was a bunch. So I'm looking through it, and I finally get to the page, where the signature lines are. And I'm looking at the one, with the mortgage on it, and I've got that over here too. There we go. And I won't give you the attorney's name because I don't think he's worth worth promoting. Let's put it that way. So I get to let's see here. This is the okay. So I got that documentation on the mortgage, and that. Okay, and then I go to what is known as the promissory note, and as you saw that I showed you before, and again it's all the same. There we go. Let that focus a moment. There we go. It's all the same thing I had, which I showed, and I get to the actual signature page. And let that focus. There we go. Now, it dawned on me right away after looking at some of these other gentlemen's sites, there's a problem here. Not sure if anybody can see the problem. Right here is the word copy. That's kind of strange. And actually, I don't mind showing this because that's not my signature. I started looking into that, and I grabbed, again, the other documents I'll wait for this to focus. If I'm going a little too fast, I apologize. I'm trying to make it focus here. Larry's docs, okay. So we'll go to that signature page. Excuse me. Okay, where'd you go? Just give me a moment here. And here we go. Excuse me. Lo and behold, here's what I received from the bank. Let's see here. And here is the other one with the word copy right there. Copy underneath, right? And then copy right there. Well, first of all, I know myself well enough. I mean, I've been a contractor. It's going on 30 years now. I would not sign anything that's had the word copy on it. What? It says copy. Why would you sign something like this? And again, I'm not afraid to show it. This is not my signature. It's not. So after reviewing these particular this particular set of information here, I said to the secretary, who very nice, by the way, I called back and I said, thank you for sending, thank you for sending the information. I said, unfortunately, looking for it can't have the word copy and a signature, literally over the top of the word copy. The signature does not run through the word copy. It's over, and then with a Y for Larry, and then, which again is not my signature. So I said, and very nice, very polite. So I get this this second email, which I actually have here. There we go, focusing. It's about 10 pages, and I asked for could they just send the mortgage and the promissory note this time. I said I can't have the word copy in there. I says I don't mean to be a pain. I'm just trying to be diligent in what it is that I'm doing here, and trying to understand everything properly, so that we can figure out how to resolve this situation, because I have an issue with that. Not a problem. She sent it right over, and this is what came through. This is the back page of this document. I took it off so it's easier to read here. Now, this is on the promissory note. Now, let me see. This is email number 2. Now, when you sign a piece of paper like this, obviously it's very important. It's very important. This has the same loan number, same amount of same amount of writing, everything. Now, in order to take your genuine signature and then have an original and then have a copy and a copy, they would all have to be the same. In other words, you take that, that mortgage and promissory note, and you're at the bank and you sign your papers, and everybody's happy, and you get your original copy, because that's the first one they make off the machine, and that's for you. With copy of, and you need the bank's signatures as well, the loan officer and so forth, and that's the important documents. So you hold on to these. This is very important. I didn't get that. I'm wondering, okay, so that's where the process has got me. So you saw the first signature, which was a copy of the genuine. You saw the second group of papers that I got, which was another copy without the word copy. And those signatures should match 100%. Now, I'm going to do a side-by-side here. Just hold it up in front of the camera. And let me see. It's my right, so it would perhaps be your left. Here are the 2 documents that I received from the bank. These are both supposedly copies of my promissory note. Now, one has the word copy. If you look at these signatures, if anybody can tell me that they match, I would be a very humbled person. These signatures do not match each other. These signatures have to 100%, no ifs, ands, or buts, match each other. They do not. Again, this one, whoops, where am I at? This one was the first email I got from the attorney of the bank. This one is the second email that I got from the attorney at the bank, the attorney's office of the bank, pardon me. You can just see the way that these are written. This is why I'm currently in a lawsuit. Whoops, I'm stuck to the paper. Currently in a lawsuit with my bank and suing them for fraud. Someone has stolen my signature from that bank that I have been banking with for going on 30 years. I haven't dealt with them in a couple of years now, obviously. That's actually what I came on to say today on this, excuse me, on this Independence Day weekend. Nice 4-day weekend for a lot of people, a lot of barbecues, a lot of different things going on. I would say everybody take a few moments and go over your documentation, go over different things from a couple of these other sites. Look through my subscribers, and I'll give some of the names again. Carl Lentz, and you'll find him in my subscription list that I've subscribed to. Carl Lentz, Craig Lynch, Kevin Lee Law Legal Group, David Young, of course, and Servant King. You know, a little different jurisdictions, different states have and carry some different things. It goes back all the way to 1872, and the rights of mortgage and land, and the two documents have to appear together. If they don't, one cannot stand by its own. If the promissory note is lost, the loan is dismissed. It's gone. It doesn't exist. They won't tell you this, of course. You got to look into it. There's so many different things going on with a lot of things nowadays. I just thought it was important, especially on this supposed Independence Day weekend. Don't forget to get your permits for your fireworks, kids. Important enough for me to actually come out and finally get it out. I've actually been told that it's good, it's okay at this point, and I had to wait. I've been around for a couple of years, and I had to wait this long to actually get it out. And I wore a special shirt for the bank. It is what it is. That's because it is what it is. And if you're a piece of garbage like some of these lending institutions, mine in particular, with some of the things that I've looked into and that they've done, I wouldn't doubt that they've done it to many others. It's a very local bank here. Those that know me, and I'll be posting this on some different sites as well, that people that do know me and have been around me for a long time can look into as well. Also, and I would say on this Independence Day, maybe before you head to a barbecue or something, pull out your documentation and take a pretty good hard look. You might have to be making some calls to your institution and find out just what's going on. I'm not saying they're all bad. I'm saying my particular one, what I found out, it took me about 5 or 10 minutes to pull myself off the floor because I couldn't believe what I was seeing until I got the rest of the documentation. So I'll probably do be going live and, obviously joining. There's a lot of people that have probably got a lot to say on this weekend. I just want to say, hey, thanks everybody for joining. Save, pass it around, go check some of this stuff out. Look at your documents. Look at them. And it's in cursive at the moment. They're actually trying, as far as I know, with the younger kid. I have the younger one in grade school still. The rest of them, some, out of college, in college, and on the way to college, older kids as well. And I do know that the cursive is starting to get out of the schools, and they're starting to everybody do block letters. Now, for myself, block letters, because I've done 5 years of architect and drafting and mechanical, it's all block letters. Well, when you get served legal papers, it's all in capital letters, because you are a corporation at the time your signature is given away. And we can go all the way back to the certificate of birth, to a birth certificate. You can go and research. That's a whole nother different thing. I just wanted to get this out there to say, everybody pull out your mortgages, or perhaps even your apartment lease, or your rental, or your option to buy statements, and do some research. Check out these groups and go through my sub list that I've subbed to. They're towards the bottom of the list because it was the genuine way that I came into Flat Earth and started with that. And I'm sure I'll be on later with many others. I see a bunch of people out there have joined. Thank you so much for joining the chat. I just had to get this out there. Happy Independence Day, and check out your documents, because you might not be as independent as you really think you are. Peace, everybody. I'll see you soon. Thanks a lot.